Hey friends, Tim Kelly here, bringing you a short little lesson on outdoor lighting and maybe group posing. I posted this image recently online. It just came up in my memories 5 years ago, I believe, and a lot of people commented on it and asked the question, well, how did you light it? How did you pose it? All these different things. So I'm going to try and give you a very quick overview of how we do these. So for instance, we do have to deal with a group that's kind of crazy like this, but I think in this little outtake, you can kind of see that it's got good studio lighting, and you'll see even more of it in a moment. So here is the backyard. The backyard has like a dozen or 14 people. I don't count dogs and little tiny kids, but this is the way we light it. And I know it's extremely unusual. People that are new think they put a light on each side and aim for the middle. There's all kinds of thoughts. But what I always do on location is I always measure the ambient first. Our subjects were all kinds of ages, yes, from grandpa, next generation, next generation. The open sky provides the backlighting. The backlighting is the natural lighting. This is mid-morning, and the light is coming in from behind. That gives us a grand kind of kick light, hair light situation. Then it's our job to fill the subjects. So we have the reflector come in, and yeah, it's not going to do much on a group like this, but it does add something. If you had enough reflectors, you could do it without strobes. So here we have the first main indicated. It's a softbox with likely a GODOX AD 300 or something semi-strong in it. But look where it's aimed. It's aimed towards the middle of the group. It's heavily feathered, but it's not quite enough to reach the far side. So now when we go to main 2, you'll see that's aimed for the furthest person in the entire group. The furthest on the right, the light comes from the left. So we qualify this as extreme feathering. But you know, it's no different than I did 40 years ago or more, 50 years ago, when I had one strobe on camera and one off camera light for a bridal party at a wedding. We would shoot the AUX flash or the extra light on a stand high and aimed for the furthest person on the other side. It's the same technique. When we pull away all these little indicators here and just look at a clean shot, it looks a lot like my studio work. This is my studio work. It comes from a lighting diagram made many, many years ago, and the same philosophy is what still works today. When you go back, there is my outdoor lighting, heavily feathered, both lights on the same side. I prefer softboxes because I have several big ones, but you could use bare bulb, big umbrellas, whatever you want. But the key for me is always to have non-competitive active lighting. So we have the passive natural light on the scene, which is coming in from behind the people, and then we add our mains. You can call it a double main. I usually call my number 1 kind of the fill, and 2 the true key light. They, in this case, are balanced pretty similarly, and we'll look closely at the group picture in a moment to discern that once again. So here we go. Well, this is the funny part of the picture, but I think you can see from the image that the lighting, except for the kick light or the background ambient light, is getting a little hotter because, you know, sun goes in and out of the clouds, and that's hard to keep track of. But if you look at the modeling on the faces, it's more studio than you would normally think. So lastly, the thing about posing them, of course, is having a line coming into the image from the left, a soft line that invites you to come in, and a nice stop on the other side. Of course, the family did a great job of keying in the clothing and making it harmonious. They are kind of put together in subgroups. There's like 3 or 4 families plus the grandparents and a dog. And the other thing is the stools I have a couple of little wooden stools that I use on the ends. The other seating is little tiny student piano benches, which are all black, very small, and they hide really well in these kind of portraits. So I hope this has been a good little lesson for you. I'm sure you'll have other questions, but my idea here was just to give you some inside information on how this and other groups are made on location, most especially outdoors.